believe that we are now live. So this is
Wonderful.
my first Facebook live video where it's not just me. I've got Debra Simmons joining me. I can see on Facebook we've gone live. This is quite exciting. How do you feel, Debra?
Very excited after the time that it's taken to actually get us here. This is brilliant.
This just took us a few seconds to set up. We haven't been trying to do this for the last hour. Of course,
No.
we are trained professionals. We know exactly what we're doing.
Totally.
So this is great. So really, for anyone that's watching, which may just be our mothers, and probably not even our mothers, because my mother's at work, but just for anyone that's watching at all, I'm doing a powerful women's immersion next year. Something that I've never done before. I know a lot of people know that I do men's immersions, but never really done group work with women. I won't talk too much about it, but what I found is that there are a lot of people wondering what on earth it's about, what I'm doing, why am I doing it, what makes me qualified to it. There are a bunch of questions, and I know, Debra, you do a lot of work with women, and I thought this could just be a really cool conversation to record where you can ask me all the questions that maybe lots of people are thinking, and we can cover that content.
Yeah, that's brilliant, because as you said, I do a lot of work with women, which is quite an obvious, natural thing. You know, I'm a woman, I'm quite a bit older than you, so I have quite a life's experience and experience of women and working with women. But there you are, a young man, and you've decided to do a women's immersion group. So, you know, what qualifies you to do that? What makes you think that this is going to work and it's going to be good? You know, what made you decide to do that?
Yeah, it's a great question to start off with. It's funny, right? Because I've been doing these men's immersions, and I didn't even start out doing that. I mean, I'm 4 years into the point where I started saying that I'm coaching professionally, and I started getting clients 4 years ago. I've been in the self-development world for a lot longer than that, but even when I started coaching, I really had no idea that I would be doing work with men, you know, around self-development. I thought it would be great. I actually thought I would be doing a lot of work in corporate because I felt comfortable in that space and had spent a lot of my professional life in that space. And what's happened with my business is that it's just naturally unfolded. So I followed my gut instincts when I decided to get into coaching. It wasn't in a book somewhere, you know, these are the steps you need to do. It really, you know, a lot of people, I still remember one of my bosses, because I was working part-time, sorry, not part-time, I was working full-time and then coaching part-time for a few years. And I remember when I quit my job before I went full-time, my boss just said, he was trying to be very polite, and he said, "That's a brave move," which I interpreted as like, "What on earth are you doing? Right? Are you crazy?" So, but I've kind of been following my gut for a long time. Before I even was coaching, I decided for many years after ignoring it, I was like, I really want to do this. It might not seem like the right thing to do or the safe thing to do or anything else, but I just started doing that, and it turned out to go well. So I go, okay, well, this seems to be working for me. So I kept doing that. And that's really what I've done with my business. And so even like the Powerful Men's Immersions and the Powerful Men's Group that I ran, that came out of, you know, not common sense. I don't even want to say wisdom. I don't want it to sound woo-woo, but just really following my gut. Just, you know, you get that feeling inside that you just know what to do next. And in fact, for a long time, I had been asked to do stuff for women. You know, for a couple of years, people have said, "Why don't you just do stuff for women? Why don't you do this sort of event for women?" And I just said, no, it's not me. It's not what I do. I'm very much focused on working with men. You know, that's, again, my comfort zone. That's what I'm comfortable doing and improving on. And I kind of was really focused on that. And this year, you know, not very long ago, about a month ago or so, I just got a sudden feeling, you know, it just felt right you know what, the next stage for me is to do a women's immersion. And I don't know why. I had this thought, and it just felt so right. And the easiest thing for me was not to do it, because I've now got a following. I'm now doing the right thing with the men, and that's much easier for me to do. But this just felt like the right thing. And as I started to reflect on it, thinking exactly what you said, well, what am I going to speak about? What am I going to talk about? And I've done 6 immersions for men, and we go very deep. They're small groups, but we go really deep with the men in the room. What I realised is what I'm pointing to is got nothing to do with men or women. What I'm pointing people to, and I'm seeing it more and more, is a source of power that is basically within every single human being. And you may then, I'm going to preempt a question, well, why just do it for women? Why not just do it one for men and women? I do find there's a dynamic in the room which is different when you have just men. And I'm absolutely positive there will be a certain dynamic in the room when there's just women, which is different to when you have a mixed group. I think I've just noticed that.
Yes.
That's not to say I wouldn't do a mixed group in the future, but it's just something I've been aware of. And so, we tend to fall into our roles. We tend to act differently. I've noticed this when there's mixed groups compared to just men together and just women together. And so I like having that dynamic. It's something I'm trying out. But ultimately, what qualifies me to talk about this? Well, certainly I'm not a woman. Yes, I've done a lot of training and coaching. Yes, I've got a lot of experience in working with groups. I think I do that well. But really, nothing qualifies me. And I don't care about being qualified. I don't care about being an expert. It's not really what I'm interested in. But what I do know is, as I've started seeing for myself my own power, and it's not something that I saw straight away. It wasn't a light bulb, an on-off thing. It's been kind of slowly a greater and greater realization. I've realized that I can start to see it in other people, and as I start to see it in them, I can help them see it. And when they start to see it, it goes way, way, way beyond anything they thought was possible. And I think on a level, everyone knows that's true. Everyone knows they've got something inside them. They're not really playing at their full level, whatever that is. And it's very subtle. It's not about, well, go and make £1 million, go and do. We're in that world of like more. I don't want to add to that. I'm talking about when you get quiet and you're on your own. Inside of you there is stuff you've wanted to do. There's stuff you want to do. There's stuff you'd love to do, and you don't do it. And I know that because I thought that was just me. And what I've learned over the last few years, it's not just me, it's everyone. And again, when I was quitting my job, I was working for a huge company, really, really bright people. I mean, people that were in that company were, in my mind, I couldn't get in there. And when I got in there, I was like, wow. And I looked up to everyone else there, and I thought, these guys have got it made, these guys and girls. And when I left, I thought everyone was going to think I'm an idiot. I really did. I thought everyone's going to think, you didn't belong here, you're leaving, you couldn't cut it, all the rest of it. And instead, what I found was that, and the number of people that came up to me and said, do you know what, you're so brave, and I wish I could do what you're doing. And they would then tell me their story. So someone said, well, actually, what I've always wanted to do is I've always wanted to do real estate investing, but I can't because, and they had their excuse. Someone else said, well, I like this job, but what I've always wanted to do is I've wanted to go and travel the world, or I wanted to go and do this fashion blog, or, I mean, really, it was so surprising to me how many people came up to me and went, do you know what? We would actually like to get out of here. And I was shocked. And at the time, I kind of thought that was interesting and dismissed it. But I see now it's not unusual. Everyone's got something in them. And maybe there are some people who don't, but a lot of people have that. So that's why I'm doing this, because I just see the benefit it's been for men, and I want to do something like that for women.
That sounds absolutely fabulous. Yeah, that's really, really great. I love the fact that you are just following what feels right for you. Not kind of taking the easy route, not taking, not just sticking with what you're doing. You're actually, you've had this. Your your intuition, something inside of you is taking you in this direction, and you're happy to actually follow in that direction and see what it's like. And something that occurred to me when you were speaking was this: there definitely is, I think, a different dynamic in the room, because I have worked with a lot of women's groups and done a lot of all women, and then when you bring a man into that group, it does change the dynamics. Do you think you, as a man teaching those groups, may change the dynamic?
You know what? And firstly, I want to say hi. I can see people commenting. So hi, Helen, Gail, Eric, Jacob, whoever else is on here. Hello. I'd like to acknowledge you. Thank you for joining us. So we're not speaking on just to ourselves. And to answer your question, Deborah, I'm not teaching anyone anything. And your question really brings up a good point, because I can't teach anyone anything. And even for men, I can't teach people this. What am I supposed to say? I'm just going to come out with the same trite stuff that we've read in self-development books for years. You've got your power within you. You're far more capable than you realize. What does that do? It doesn't do anything. So what I find that I can do is I facilitate, or I create a space. I'm like, I don't know, if a tribal leader. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like we all get together and we're just sharing this space, and my role is as a facilitator and to hold that space and create the space and almost like manage it, as opposed to anything else, and create the space where people can see what's really going on for themselves, not by me telling them. And I do coaching, so I do coaching at the front of the room. There is that element of direct involvement. I'm very aware, and I read the group around, where people are, where they are in their heads. I'm doing all that usual group stuff that facilitators and trainers do. Of course, I understand that. But really, this is not about teaching, because all the information, go on Google, go on Amazon, there's all loads of stuff there. People can get that. Why do they need, not what can they not get there, but why do they even need to come to anything like this? Well, first of all, no one needs to come. You don't need to come. It might sound like an odd thing for someone to say who's filling a group. You don't need to come to it. But what I do is, for people that are interested, I create this space where people can see for themselves their own inner source of power. And it's shocked me how effective it's been. Like, genuinely, I mean that. Like, I did not expect that the sort of things that have come out of it, where even today I had someone say to me, oh yeah, you know what the biggest shift for me from coming to your last immersion? I've just lost 10 kilograms. I can nearly see my six-pack. 2 weeks ago, some guy said to me, oh, I didn't have time to tell you, by the way, I've got promoted. The time before, someone told me, oh, my marriage, which I've been trying to fix for 2 years, is healed. And it's just like constant stories are just coming out when I'm doing these events. And often, sometimes they're things that we focused on over those 4 days, or we've discussed or had a conversation about. I'd say at least half of them are things that come about that we haven't even discussed. Because it's not about teaching. It's not about, oh, let me help you see something about your relationship. Let me help you see something about your health. It's allowing people to operate at a different level, where they're seeing things that are always true for them, every time. And the events that I do for men especially, the reason I keep doing them is because I really value that space. Because I don't give myself space. We don't. We get busy in life. We get busy doing stuff, whatever it is. We get busy with our families. We're coming up to Christmas. Everyone's going to get busy, right? And what I find really powerful is having an excuse to come away from your day-to-day life. I mean, that's why I do it over 4 days, and I encourage people to go and stay away from home. And we encourage people to get off their laptops, get off their phone, get off email, and have that space for 4 days. Most likely in a city they don't know too well, because a lot of people aren't from Birmingham, where I do it, and give themselves that opportunity. And when I talk to people about it, they know, forget what I'm going to talk about, that in itself, we know inside that's valuable.
Yeah, extremely valuable. Is this aimed at any women in particular, or is it literally open to anyone who's interested? You know, you just said you're not going to, you said you don't necessarily talk about anything specific, but have you, for this particular thing, have you got anything specific in mind that, you know, a starting point maybe, or?
Well, what I find is that, and again, it's a good question. I tend to find that the right people in the room I just know. So about half the spaces are either booked or on hold already, and they've come from people who've said, we've heard about what you're doing, we know we need to be there, we really want to come. And those are the kind of people that I really want. I don't want to have to convince anyone to come. So I think the right kind of people, from whatever I'm saying, whatever I'm sharing, it resonates. Yeah. Those are kind of the ideal people. This isn't therapy. It's not counselling. So I don't do that. If someone's got, and I mean this in a nice way, if you've got mental health issues, this is not the place to come. And ultimately, if someone's interesting, if they want to find out more, I tend to have a conversation with them, whether it's for my men's groups or for my women's groups. But I mean, we're talking about the women's group at the moment. I tend to have a conversation with someone, and we tend to work out whether it's right or not. And one thing I've realised is there's something very, very special about having the right people in the room. Now, what the right people are is I can't tell you, but I just know. And I find that, again, it's that dynamic, and the dynamic of people who are really, really open to learning, really, really open to slowing down, really, really open to tapping into their own power in a different way. Those women will be right for this group, and they can, on the surface, appear quite different. Because I've seen that from the men's group. You know, we have people who are business owners and students, right? You know, people earning literally hundreds of thousands of dollars a year, and someone who's still a student. We have that kind of variety in the room. But inside there's something that they recognise, something about what I'm saying they recognise, and they want to be part of that. So that's really what I'm looking for.
That sounds really good. And it's I think one of the great things, like doing something like this, Facebook Live, and getting out there and speaking to people and having a conversation, because like you said, some people we resonate with different people, don't we? You know, I've kind of done principal stuff with various different teachers, and there's some people that I really absolutely love to listen to, and other people not so much. So we all have our people that we resonate with, people who we like their style, we like what they do. So I think it's great, you know, to actually get to know the person that you're going to spend those days with, because it's important that it is somebody who is resonating with you. And I think then once you get people in the room who, with the group dynamics, and from my experience, I mean, I've not done men's only groups, but I have done quite a lot of women's only groups. And when you get a group of women in the room like that, the level of support is literally, it is unbelievably amazing. When you get a group of lovely women together, the amount of support between them, the things that they can do for each other, how good they are at caring and being there for each other is immense in my experience. So like you say, it's if you have a room full of powerful women, come in there and have, you know, somebody who they're resonating with, who can lead them, you know, just like you say, it's not necessarily, it's just great to just be there and hold that space, isn't it? To have that too, so that they've got somebody to sort of look to too. It just sounds really amazing. I'm really excited by the whole thing.
Yeah, you remind me of a couple of things actually, just to add. One is, it's not going to be a room full, right? It's going to be a maximum of 12 women, and it might be smaller than that, because it's really important for me to know to have the right people in the room, the right women in the room. And there's a reason I do that. I tend to find with smaller groups, that support and that connection is a lot more. Once you start getting bigger than that, and I've been in trainings where there's 30 people, I've been in trainings where there's 50, and whilst they're not bad trainings, you don't really get to connect with everyone. And again, the dynamic is different. So when I talk about my job is to facilitate and hold that space, one of the things I do is to make sure that the groups are of an appropriate size. And I tend to find up to a maximum of 12. I was going to go to 15 with my men's ones, and I don't think I will, because I think 12 is the maximum number when you've got 4 days together, and I want to give everyone an appropriate amount of time and attention. I think that's really important. The other thing you said about that support, absolutely. I think one of the biggest things or the benefits that people get from my immersion events, certainly from the men's ones I've done so far, has been the level of support between people. And I know that when I start, I tend to tell people, look, you're going to make some friends here. You're going to make some friends for life. You're going to make some really deep connections. And people have said to me, when you said that on day one, we thought, yeah, right. We've heard that before. What a load of bleep. And they've said that was one of the biggest things that they got. And it was so, not that anything else wasn't valuable, but they really found that. And so I realised that it's really important for me to facilitate that connection. So one of the things that I do, I've never told anyone this live, this is the first time I'm sharing my secret, is I interview or record a little video with every single person that comes to one of my immersion events, and it's shared privately so no one else sees it except the people that are coming to the group, and it's shared well in advance of the event. And so what happens is that some people you may know, some people will come who don't know anyone, but they get to watch a little 5 or 10 minute video where we just say, who are you, what's your background, what are you looking to get out of this event, why are you coming, just really basic stuff. And what I tend to find is that when people turn up on day one, they've watched this video, or like say 10, 11 videos they've watched, and so they kind of know a little bit more about each person, and so the connection gets deeper by the time they come on day one. Otherwise people spend day one going, oh, I don't know that person, I'm not sure, or who are you, what do you do? Whereas when you watch those videos again, you get that interaction and people can comment and whatever else. That really adds to that dynamic. So that's something else that I do, which I found through experience is just really helpful for people.
Yeah, and 12 is a lovely number. That's actually, I must have small rooms because that to me is a small room when I do mine. That's that is a nice number because with 12 people, you can absolutely get to know those people quite intimately. Over a 4-day period, you will get to know each other quite intimately, and there will be, an awful lot of support, a lot of love actually in a room. When you get together like that, there will be an awful lot of support, love, help for each other. So it sounds really great. When is it? When is this going to happen? Have you got a date for it? Or?
I do. So I very subtly made my cover picture a big banner on the event, and it's there to remind me as well. So anytime anyone asks me, I can quickly look at it. So it's the 20th to the 23rd. So it's all day Thursday, all day Friday, all day Saturday, and all day Sunday. And it's in Birmingham, England.
What month?
That's in April. Sorry, I should say the month. Yes.
Yep.
So April next year. That's when it's happening, and I'm really looking forward to it. And like I said, I think the people or the women that have really something connects with them about this. They've known, and we've just spoken, and it's felt right.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, thank you very much for sharing that with me today. Thank you for sharing about your group. It sounds really good. Will everybody who comes on this group, will they know about the 3 principles already? Will this, because you say it's an immersion and a deepening, will they be people who are already, do they already know about the principles, or will they be new to the principles? Are you bothered either way? What?
So this is going out on my Facebook public profile, so I'm assuming that some people who are watching this video will know what on earth the 3 principles are, and I'll assume some people won't. So the methodology, the modality that I work from is something called the 3 principles, and it's a new paradigm in psychology. It's what I've spent 4 years training in, and ultimately that will inform everything that I do in those 4 days. But it's within the context of showing up more powerfully, and that means different things to different people. Do people need to know about this before they come? No. So if people don't know anything about the 3 principles, but they resonate with something that I'm saying, great, let's talk. If you already know something about the principles, that doesn't mean you won't learn anything else. That's not a requisite, because again, this is not about, like I said, it's not a teaching space. It's really a space that I'm creating, and it sounds a bit esoteric, sometimes a bit hard to describe, but again, the results have shocked me of what's come out of it for various other people. And I'm sure anyone that's been to one of my men's immersions, I'm happy for anyone to really say what was it like, what they got out of it. But yeah, that's what it is. So it will be all 3 principles based. You don't need to have an understanding of it before. If you do have an understanding, that's great. You'll get to go deeper. If you don't, but you're open to learning, let's have a conversation.
Yeah, because the great thing about doing anything from a 3 principles perspective, and it's really, I find it brilliant when there's people in the room who know and people in the room who don't, because the dynamic that goes on there is really interesting as well. And it doesn't seem to matter. It's not one of those things that if you know a little bit about it, the people who don't know don't get to feel left out really when they're in the room. It is something that is very inclusive and very all-inclusive, isn't it? It's something that you can come at from knowing about it or not knowing about it. That's worked within any of the groups that I've done. That's always worked very well, whether you've got complete newbies in there and people who've been doing it for sort of 10 years. It doesn't seem to make any difference. You can all sort of come in and that all comes together really well and works extremely well. So brilliant. Have you got anything else that you want to add to this? Or
no, I'm surprised at how many people we've had logging into this and commenting. Anke, I don't know if I pronounced your name right. Thanks. She said most people aren't going for what they want, get help doing it because they don't think it's possible, at least not for them. You can't ask for something you don't know exists. True, I want to open up the possibility for people to see more than they thought exists for them. Billy says hi. Hi, Billy. Kai says, I never imagined I'd work on AdWords campaigns while Ankush is speaking live in the background of my computer. Well, cool. If anyone's got any questions, I would like to do more of these videos. I think they're really fun. It's fun being able to have 2 people on this on a Facebook Live. But if anyone's got any questions for me, you still might be thinking, yeah, and what still makes you qualified, or I don't understand what you're covering. Whatever questions you might have, feel free to comment on it below. I'll be happy to answer it. Feel free to challenge me. That's cool.
Yeah, it's good to be challenged.
Yeah, it gets me thinking as well, and I'm very open for that. This is very much it's funny because everything I've done for the last 4 years has been a big experimentation, and one of the things I tell other coaches is you don't need to wait to be perfect. I certainly am not. All that I'm driven by is, can I be helpful to someone? And so I can see that I can, and that's what really drives me forward, and everything that I've managed to do and what little I've managed to accomplish, that's been through kind of really testing, experimenting. So again, this has been another experiment for me, and one that seems to really resonate. If I put this out there and you'd got crickets, I would have moved on. But it sounds like it does resonate. And like I said, I did have a lot of people saying to me over the years, when are you going to do something for women? And it's it just felt like the right time.
Yeah, cool, brilliant. Thank you.
Well, thanks, Deborah, for your time today. It's been a pleasure, and I'll see everyone next time.